three aircraft. Was it tough transitioning, or did you like, look, I got this routine down. I know what I need to know. This is pretty easy. Or did you start getting like, was that from the Draken? Or like, did you start mismatching stuff?
That's more what I'm doing today when we're flying so many different configurations of the Gripen E model, and I hope we come back to that later on in our. But now, you try to maintain the good stuff, a good experience, and you leave the other one and make room for improvement. But that was really something to been fortunate to fly the Draken and also the Fight Vegan and bring that experience into the Gripen system. That was totally new. The step from Draken to Viggen, I would say it's 3 times when you went into the Gripen, because that's for sure a system aircraft, and I did at 99.
Wow. Was that the first variant? Is that when the Gripen was actually brand new?
That was a Gripen Alpha back then, and SAAB, they were still producing the 2-seater, but that one wasn't available at the time. So that was a lot of sim in the beginning, theory lessons, of course, and all that. But to have the first flight in the single-seater, that was interesting, because that was a new thing. We had a double-seater and a single-seater, both in Draken and Viggen, but to jump into a single-seat aircraft like that and feel all the new sound sensation, characteristics, ground handling, and then, of course, the takeoff, and you just, this is awesome. I still think it is.
Yeah, well, so is it, so like here in the U.S., for the single-seat fighters, you have your IP or your instructor chase you. Is that how your first flight went, and what was your first impression in the air?
Yeah, that was the first flight. So that's what we call a pickup the first time. So 3, 2, 1, go, and then he joined my wing, and so we had the instructor pilot on my wing to support me if needed. But that was low workload, sortie, just because everybody know the first time you're doing something, it's a lot of impressions. So that was smooth aerobatics, did some instrumental approaches, and then for a full stop, maybe after 1.5 hours, something like that.
But, I guess compared to your other aircraft, was it pretty high thrust to weight ratio? Did you feel like it had a lot of power?
That was a kick, and I heard that you talked about it when you had a look on my solar display. Of course, as every platform, that's when it's heavy loaded, that the characteristics, of course, will be different, and not at least from the thrust weight relations, but now no external stores, and you did an A/B takeoff. That was something the first time. You never forget it.
Was the original A model a 9G fighter?
It was from the beginning. Yes.
Yeah. Did you have to go back to the centrifuge for that, or were the previous fighters 9G as well?
No, the Fighter Vegan, that one went for 7Gs. And that's actually a history in itself, because I got the opportunity while flying the Fighter Vegan to try out the centrifuge, just because I got the opportunity, and sounds fun. We went there. My colleague over there, he said, "Okay, now it's 9G, so keep that in mind." And yeah, we could have the brief. Just give me the stuff. And that back then, that was the conventional G suit that we used in the Fighter Vegan, not a bladder, full cover from the toe up here. So I jumped in and bring it on. I'm a fighter guy. And then after a while, are you with us? Yeah, bring it on. Yeah, we did, they said. Yeah, so that was actually quite an interesting lesson learned, because almost in daily basis flying around with maximum 7Gs, I thought back then if you just pull extra 2, that would be a little bit harder, but not that much. So, but I didn't pay attention to the brief, adjust my technique, didn't have respect back then. So my first time in the centrifuge, I blacked out.
Yeah. Well, did you do the funky chicken? Did you do the
they
have good video? Did they get good video of it too?
I have the video. It's looked quite funny. A little bit of funky chicken. I actually came back quite fast if you have a look on the video, but my conscious and to do something fully functional, that took some time. My take from that is have the respect for G, and it's quite interesting sitting here right now and doing that so often in the Gripen, and to control it in a very controllable way, because flight safety first, and that's also for solo display.
Yeah, well, we talk about that in the solo display as well, because there's a lot of 9Gs at that.
Yeah.
I especially, and we could talk about this now as I talked about the push-pull, because unfortunately, we had a mishap with the Thunderbirds where that was attributed to causal, because he had just done a push-pull. He had just done, negative G, 0G, and then pull. And, for those at home, what happens, your blood flow changes. I mean, essentially is, you're trying to get the blood from going to your feet when you're positive G. Well, now it's to your noggin, your cranium. And when you push pull, it reverses. So you don't necessarily get, the G tolerance that you had before. How do you deal with that in these demos? I mean, do you have a technique for that? Is it designed to do that? I mean, because I was watching you're -3 and then +9, and that's a huge swing.
Now, you of course, you're totally correct about the technique, and actually, it's not. You can't pick up a technique to handle minus side of the G aspect. Although regarding that part, first of all, it's a lot of respect by doing that. So we're not lunatics doing that, and that stands for most of the solo displays, despite of the platform. Yeah. But it's highly connected to solo display to show the ability to do something. Because my worst fear is that we have an audience that they will go to buy a sausage when I'm doing my display. That will never happen. That's my objective, and so that's why we're doing a lot of roles and stuff that's not connected to when you're actually doing a dogfight. And go for the negative side. Pretty much never have done that before in the operational area. Yeah. Because it's no need to do it. Right. It's just pain.
Well, pain in stores too. I mean, when you're actually carrying stuff, especially going to combat, you're not going to do that. But you guys have a different G suit, right? Do you have like a full coverage anti-G suit or something that's new design?
It's actually almost from the beginning when we start flying Gripen, and the first flight that occurred in the '88. So in the early '90s, we got our G suits, and it's a full coverage G protection from the feet and all the way up. And actually, it's involved in the jacket, so we have pressure over here to be able to sustain the pressure, and also we have overpressure in the oxygen mask. Yep. So when you're doing that kind of technique, that will help you to pressurize the lungs while doing that. And also when you're pulling above 4.5 Gs, you have a bladder in the back of the helmet that will actually press the oxygen mask even harder, so you don't generate any leakage with overpressure in the mask. Wow. We have really, really good system, and also the comfort in the seat and the seat position, the angle of how you sit in the aircraft. That's also quite important.
Okay.
So no, that's really good, and we have an onset of over 6G per second when we're pulling the stick. So that's the reason to create a design like that, and don't generate any blackouts every now and then for the pilot, because that's catastrophic, of course.
Is it a fly-by-wire aircraft?
Yes, fly-by-wire from the beginning, and all the versions. Could continue the whole day talking about them, but the CD version, that's operational around the world in the different countries and the customers today, and it will be for many years. Well, what we're doing right now, that's a Gripen E that we're producing and designing here at SAAB. So it's fly-by-wire. So from a pilot perspective, that's awesome to actually, maybe not to do whatever you want with the stick, but you don't need to pay attention to stay within the envelope, because you won't leave the envelope by just maneuver the stick. So if I'm high speed, low level, and I despite of the speed and level, actually, it's a carefree system. But it will be a 9G, and you could just rapid onset, because it soft stop, and then you will have it. It's a good
9G
kick.
limiter?
It's a 9G. So the flight controls will limit you, and of course the G onset, it's in relation to stay within the envelope and not exceed the 9G. But you can't just pull and then slowly bring up the Gs up to 9, because we want it fast, because that's what you want for the turn radius and maneuverability.
Yeah, awesome. Can you overshoot the limiter in the transonic regime? Because both jets I've flown that have limiters, you could overshoot them if you were fast. I mean, if you were in that transonic to supersonic regime, you could easily overshoot them.
I mean, regarding Gs, that will be limited by the computers in itself. So you still got soft stop. So you will stay within the envelope, but the envelope in itself will differ, and that will be relation to speed and altitude, but also the configuration and what kind of payload and weight of the aircraft.
So it's smart. It knows everything. Its configure, and it goes, hey, look, you're a 5G platform right now. Wait till you burn down some fuel. I'll give you 9 when I feel like it.
A relationship like that, because we're able to put let's say 15,000 pounds of weapon load on it, and it's official that you don't start with 9Gs directly after takeoff. It's something else, and so, but still, it's really important to be highly maneuverable, despite your weight, of course. But if you're like during the solo display, it's not fully weight with fully armed aircraft, because we would like to press the aircraft to the maximum. But from a carefree, controlled aircraft like this, it's for sure bring down your workload, because it's in all pitch and roll and yaw aspects. The aircraft will keep you within the limits. So you actually ask for maximum if you want that, with insurance that you will stay within the envelope. So you don't need to have a look on the G meter and so on.
And maintenance probably loves you for that, because you're not bringing back broke jets from overGing.
No, we have for safety reasons, we have the hard stop functionality, and if you have if you're in high speed, that would generate 3 Gs extra. So that will generate 12 Gs, but it's for a safety purpose to.
How do you override it? Is it a switch you can override on the stick?
No, it's by force. So when you're pulling it backwards, you will have the soft stop. But if you really pull it, it will go for the hard stop region, and then that will give you 3 Gs extra. But I can assure you that everybody knows it.
So your A model experience, was that operational or was that test? Did you go straight into test as you started, or how did that kind of flow out?
Yeah, back in '99, that was the A model, and after 8 months, I fulfilled my conversion training, and actually, my previous Draken colleagues from my wing arrived, and I was together with 4 others, instructor pilots of the Gripen, and received. Yeah, that was a quite odd feeling as a second lieutenant doing that. So that was great times. And after a couple of months at Såtenäs, it's a middle part of Sweden, a wing, we went back to our home base and continued the conversion training of my colleagues. Wow. So that was a model back then, and yeah, I'm fortunate also to have flying the Gripen the whole journey from the A and E today. So that's I'm appreciating that kind of journey that I have.
Well, so did you just, to get through all the models, did you just transition? So did they say, hey, the C is coming online, you're going to fly the C now? Was that operational still?
That was actually a huge package. I started in 2003. I went for the OT&E unit, Operational Test and Evaluation Unit, and then I got the opportunity to start with A and B model at the unit, and then we received from DT&E guys and from SAAB the new versions, and back then we were the first to take care of the new platform and creating new training syllabus, and did all the OPEVAL stuff, operational evaluation testing, before we sent it out to the wings. So I got the opportunity to do the syllabus for the new one.
Was it the same as your previous airframe, where you had fighter specific? Because it's a multi-role aircraft. Did you have fighter specific guys and then strike guys, or was this aircraft your first where it was like, we do all the missions?
It's a relevant question, of course, and that's, as I said, regarding the Viggen. You flew the fight Viggen and you didn't jump into the seat. You could do it in a 2-seater, but not the strike Viggen or reconnaissance Viggen. So that was the backside of the old concept. With the Gripen concept, with the multi-role aircraft, the training syllabus and the conversion training ended out to do all the roles. And not today maybe, but back then they said it's not possible. But it's if you have really good platform, good HMI, and you got the ability to fly a lot, and you have great simulators and so on, we think we success with that one. So every pilot flying every roles. That's something regarding the basic training or the conversion training, and it's something else if you are in a quick readiness for something, then you're more updated and current in some aspects, and maybe not flying around with a recce pod every day. So it's a little bit divided, but the basic training, it's the same.
So what'd you think, pointing your nose at the ground for the first time? How'd you like that as a fighter guy?
Yeah, supposed to pull up, yeah. No, it's that was quite interesting, and the first pilots in the Air Force doing the conversion training for the Gripen, that was gathering pretty much a mix between fighter pilots, strike pilots, and reconnaissance pilots to take the lead when we went into that area of that kind of missions. So the design and the platform aspect, that's something, but then to really understand what's important and how to conduct the missions and all that, of course, it's interesting for a fighter guy to do the recce missions and also strike missions and vice versa. But that was, really exciting times to do that. And it's more dynamic because you're reacting quite often as a fighter pilot. you have your tactics. You're doing it in a 4-ship or 8-ship, or as in Red Flag, where hundreds of aircrafts, you're doing huge command and all that. But to do a striker missions, most often low level, high speed, and timing is everything, and to suppress with the EW stuff into the target area and all that, it's something else. Quite interesting.
Did you get to go do a Red Flag?
Yeah, I participated in 2006 in Alaska. Cool. So that was the first time. I can't remember the name of the exercise in the beginning, but that year they received the status of Red Flag. So from my perspective, I didn't participate in Nellis, but my colleagues have done that 2 times.
Wow. So, I mean, how did you feel integrating, with other countries and trying? Did you feel like it worked out okay, or did you feel like, holy crap, we got work to do?
Yeah, you only, as always, you got the answers if you ask someone else, not the one that performing it. But we were mostly on the blue side and participating mostly in air-to-air, but also at the surface missions and dropping live munitions, GBU 1249s and strafing with guns and huge scenarios. And we nowadays generating huge scenario exercises also in northern part of Sweden, ACE we call it, and now the Americans and it's from Germany, Italians and so on. So, but back then that was pretty much the first time you're facing just to have a taxi flow plan with 150 aircraft from 3 different bases and.
Yeah.
But we did well. We did most of the times the job. I think we had less than 2% of ground abort with our fighters. And so we started building up that we're reliable, we're in time, and we're capable, and fully integrated with the Link 16. And
that's awesome.
For many years, start to talk English and adapt the tactics and SOPs and so on in a more international aspect and not just the Cold War concept with the national defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, when did you start doing the demo mission? Were you flying for SAAB, or did you do it as a Air Force pilot?
Yeah, that's actually, I've done it now for 6 years. I'm going into the 7th season. Worked at the OTNE unit for 11 years, and then 2013 started as a test pilot here at SAAB. It's actually in the same town, 2 different wings in the same town. So we were every now and then into the SAAB area of testing things and receiving new capabilities and bring it out to the Air Force from the OTNE. But now I got the opportunity to work as a test pilots, and then. Yeah, the journey continued. I'm fortunate, so I'm smiling since '92.
What did they have you doing? Like, what was the first thing? Hey, here's your first assignment. Did they say, hey, we're working? You flew the Gripen. Let's keep working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much like that. Because I'm not graduated from a test pilot school. We started up with quite smaller courses on the NTPS. We did also in the Carlsbad, Buffalo. So we did different parts of being a test pilot, although we're not graduated. So we did a lot of that for a couple of months, and then we jumped in, and I think it was we started in to do delivery check flights to the customers. That's a good start to do. Just check that everything is up and running before we deliver to the customer, of course.
Yeah.
And then we pretty soon went into soft grades because we have many steps of soft grades. We don't using the MLU of the Gripen. So we have release of new software, highly frequent to be updated as much as possible from a platform perspective. So it's a lot of testing regarding that. And then pretty soon we went into designing the Gripen E, continuing to do that.
But you were a demo pilot for the C, right? That video that people actually corrected. They're like, no, that's the C that we were looking at.
They're doing like that. Yeah.
They're like, you don't know the difference. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I just knew it was a Gripen. It didn't even say.
I started because we swapped solar display pilot here, and I started in 2016, and we started, of course, back then with the Charlie Delta version, and I've been doing that since, and still doing it, because, as I mentioned, the CD is up and running, and we're bringing out the new one, the Gripen E, this year.
So you've been doing just the C up until this year.
Yeah. So this year we are up and running, and we started the solar display with Gripen E last year. So it's pretty fresh. I'm doing the solar display in both CD and E right now. But what you saw in the video, that was the C version.
Wow.
So, for example, it's a hard time maybe to see. It looks like a Gripen, but the E model, that's something else, inside and outside for sure.
Yeah. Well, so tell me about being a demo pilot. I mean, what made you decide you wanted to do it, and how have you enjoyed it so far?
I have some experience regarding that. We had a 4-ship formation. We did some display back in the early year 2000, something like that. And I found it quite amusing to do that one. But then I was number 2, just be like a glue on the wing, despite of what the formation leader did. But never at OT&E, you don't do solar display. So when I got the opportunity, I just raised my hand. Yeah, I want it. But it's a well hidden secret that everybody could do it if you're a trained pilot, despite if it's a fighter pilot or recce or whatever. So it is. But you need to pinpoint someone to have extra training to do that, because 1 versus 1 or dogfight training and all that, that's something else, because solar display, that's a script that you're doing the same maneuvers despite of the weather condition, the wind condition, and all that. So you need some extra training to be able to do that in a proficient way.
Yeah. Do you do the training in the D model with an instructor in the back first to kind of get used to it, or do they cut you loose solo from the beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning, most often we start with a new guy in the back seat to just rumble around for a couple of sorties and to create the respect needed by doing solar display. And then it's a instructor in the back seat to support. But it's we're saying that you're supposed to have been flying above 1,000 hours in the Gripen, so it's a proficient pilot. So mostly it's in the single seat version of the Gripen. And then you could lay back as an instructor and have a look how it looks. And
Yeah. So have you done these all over? I mean, what's been your favorite air show to do these? Like,
my first year, that was autumn 2016, and then we went spring 2017 to India in Bangalore, and that was something. So we went there, and that was my first air show abroad. And the spectators during the public days, that was slightly above 1 million Saturday and 1 million at the Sunday. So that was a huge crowd. And also that was 45 degrees Celsius, and altitude of the airport that was 4,700 feet. So that was interesting inputs.
Yeah.
Really
Wow.
hot and really high.
Yeah.
But that everything went well. But that was interesting first air show to do. Actually, that was huge.
I mean, so you actually deployed in combat with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I participated in that operation from the. I was at the OTN unit when we went for the Libya operation together with many countries. So that was really, really interesting. I mean, the conflict in itself, that's a really sad thing, but the mission that every nation needed to do and to work joint, that was really interesting to get everything in place, and the air fueling part over in Mediterranean, and we had a 24/7 during many months. It's so much of timings to be in place, do your job, report it. We did a lot of recognitions there that were highly appreciated. To the kayak, and to evaluate them, let's say 2 hours after landing. That's a teamwork. It's not just a pilot.
You've been involved with the Gripen E.
Yeah.
Tell me about that aircraft. I mean, how much of a game changer is that?
Yeah, glad you asked. Yeah, that's really something. Could start with just by looking at a Charlie version, the single-seater, and have a look on the Gripen E from some range. It's not that big difference if you just have a look on it. Yeah. With that said, if you go a little bit closer, you can see that it's a little bit more robust. We changed the design of the gear to be able to redesign, so we have more fuel with us now in comparison with the Charlie, quite much actually. So instead of bring extra drop tanks that we need to do, we could have it internally instead. Also, we have missile warning system. You can see the eyes. It's a global protection of that one, and it's huge outer pylons. It's a weapon pylon, but at the same time it's integrated in our EW system. To actually, it's a game changer in many aspects. But one of them, that's the EW aspect of it. To have that kind of coverage. You can see that we have some extra weapon pylons, so we have 10 weapon pylons now. So from a weapon aspect, range aspect, that's something. And if you jump in, it's a totally new cockpit with a wide area display. The sensors that we work with are right now, just to give you a hint, it's sensor fusion. Everybody works with that one now. It's easy to say, and it's hard work to make it working. But we're on in a good track by doing it to join. Not only working with the radar, not only working with the Warner system, EW system, or a passive system like the Erst, the bubble on the nose, to be able to centrifuge everything in a good package, a good HMI. That's a really important thing in the combat situation nowadays and in the future. So it's a lot of things happen in there, and to make the whole platform to be affordable.
Yeah.
Of course, the price tag for most of us, that's huge, but in comparison, it's a bang for the bucks. We're talking about at the same time. Yeah, so we're working with that heavily. Started to deliver now to the DTNE side in Sweden, and also we deliver the aircraft to Brazil. So we're pleased to have Brazil as a customer also.
You're 48. How long can you keep flying? Like, what's next for you as far as just on the personal level?
Yeah, ask my doctor. No, 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 just kidding. It's still a need for us here, and they're not pointing out the exit door yet. And
that's good.
we're supposed to work here as employee to the age of 60 when you work as a test pilot. But that's in our agreement as a test pilot. So that's a thumbs up. We might fly up to the age of 55, something like that in the Gripen, but not exceeding 55.
9Gs at that age starts to get
yeah.
a little tough.
Well, every now and then you could feel some pain in the lower back part of the back.
Neck? You're getting neck pain every now and then.
Mostly in the back, but not that much at neck, because we have quite a well-balanced helmet and a low-weight helmet also. And we're flying with HMD helmet also, and I most often don't pick that one but I don't have the use of HMD when you're doing a solo display. I will find the runway anyhow, and no one will shooting at me. So. But no, I'm knock on wood. I'm healthy and I'm still up and running.
Perfect.
But you need to plan for your, so to say, retirement from that. So there's a new guy that will join me, because I'm the only one flying the solo display with the Gripen E right now, and we need more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want one in the U.S., I'll volunteer as tribute. You know, if you need
would join me. Awesome.
Yeah, I got no problem. I'll figure it out.
It's easy to fly aircraft, so you will manage.
Yeah. Oh, so what are you saying? I can only fly the easy jets? What are you trying to say?
No, but you will only need a day.
That's awesome. So I always ask, because if we were doing this live, somebody's always going to ask, what's your most frightening or scariest or most tense moment in an aircraft? Like, do you have a story where it was like, wow, that was really tough?
When you're doing small or bigger exercises, it's an exercise. Then everything is regarding flight safety, of course, to conduct the mission in a proficient way and all that. But when you go into realistic stuff, we talked a little bit about Libya. That maybe not frightened, but it's close to express it like that, because there are a lot of people down there. They for sure want to shoot you down, and they will try to detect and act against you, and that's something. So that's the full respect when it go to live situations. I don't have that kind of long-term experience, but I felt a little off that in a live conflict like that. So then it's really important that you're confident of platform is working, your tactics is working, and you do all the procedures needed, and you don't end up in the midair with someone else and all that. But the complexity and what's going on ground at that case, that was my number one thing.
What advice do you have to a kid that's watching this, in your country, that wants to follow in your footsteps, like to be a fighter pilot and serve as you have?
By hearing that kind of question and what I feel, I'm just overwhelming with impressions that I want to share, because it's the best job in the world. And I think it's not related, I must say, to Gripen pilot talking about the Gripen, or F-16 pilot talking about F-16. It's about aviation in itself, to be able to fly out there, and the feeling to be able to do that. And you're running between 750 knots, and you're up at 50,000 feet, and you're doing large exercises. You're there by your own. So the complexity together with just using the stick to maneuver your own platform together with awesome colleagues. I've been fortunate to work with. It's always the feeling that you're a team. You're flying around in a single-seat aircraft, but the team feeling at all time at the squadron level, and you must create that to be able to work together during other circumstances, and that all together. So it's not just flying. It's not just great friends or colleagues. It's a mix that you only can find in this work, and go and get it. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. 100%. It's always the people.
Yeah.
You know, it's always the people. You work with some of the best people in the world. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's across the board. So, André, appreciate all of your time. Thank you so much for telling your story. It has been a privilege to listen. And I tell you, the demo, you know, it's so funny. You know, I watched that video. I was like, man, that's pretty impressive. But to be able to talk to the guy that is currently doing it, and, you know, we were talking
and I'm not
earlier.
The chick. You talked about the chick before.
Yeah. You're definitely not that.
I'm a guy.
You're definitely a guy. How many demos have you done before we wrap up?
Yeah, so since 2016, I've done slightly above 160 solar displays. Wow. And I'm still press on for numerous of years with the Gripen E, together with CD, but primarily the Gripen E from SAAB side. So looking forward to do that, and hope to see as many as possible to be able to see the Gripen in the future.
Awesome. Well, like I said, if you need somebody, you know, over here in the U.S., I'm more than willing. And it's a great aircraft. You know, you're obviously a great fighter pilot. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and looking forward to seeing more of your shows and demos as the years go on. So thank you so much for your time.
I can say that I'm not saying when, but in the near future, we'll do an update with the Gripen E. With the same concept. So that's a concept for the video that we send out before, for the spectators to join the cockpit and join inside to see the solar display. And we'll do the same concept with Gripen E. So join me.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for your time. Please
Thank
be
you.
safe.
Appreciate it.
We'll keep enjoying your demos. Thank you.
Have the best.